In a world cloaked in shadows where the line between reality and myth blurs, four intrepid adventurers stand at the precipice of destiny. Welcome to the realm of the Red Sphere Guild. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. This is the Red Sphere Guild. This is a bit of a session zero as such, in the sense that quite a lot of people have asked questions in regards to the book itself and how I put together, some questions in regards to logistics, and so I thought I'd all compile them here for you just to answer a few questions that you might have in general. If you do have any other questions, put them down below and hopefully I'll be able to answer them on further sessions. However, I think we should just jump straight into it and get with the first question. The first set of questions are mostly about Fought Against Darkness in itself. The first one was, what supplements did you use? There is a whole list. I'll put it up on screen now on the left hand side just so you're aware of what it is. However, in addition to that, of course, I do have the standard core Fought Against Darkness book. I actually have two of those, believe it or not. I do have all of the cards. I also have all of the monster cards as well. Obviously, some of these I have designed myself. For example, Manic Mansions is one designed by me, along with Tomb Raiser and Pirate's Bountiful Beauty. There's also a few others in the book as well that I've been able to put together that as of yet haven't been published. So the most notable one here is Undead and Buried. But there will be others as well. In addition to that, I've also got access to lots of unreleased stuff that I'm able to deal with too. On that note, how did I get access to all the unreleased stuff? There's a few ways that you go about this. Obviously, the first one is you could just hang out on the Facebook page. You should be able to get access to a few bits and pieces that are dropped there. However, they occasionally do make requests to see if anyone wants to do play tests for myself on a regular basis, and as a result, I got access to a lot of these beforehand. Finally, there is any questions in regards to house rules. There are some questions in regards to house rules that I can answer. So the first one specifically is I use double XP rolls. So unlike other games whereby you can essentially just kill a boss and then get an XP roll, I will instead make sure that you have to kill 2 bosses before you can get an XP roll, or you have to do 20 minions before you can get an XP roll. The second one is doors don't matter. This is just a general one. There is a singular exception, and that's this one just here. So this is totally unpublished at the moment, and so there's nothing that I can really talk to you about, but every single door and every single gate, which is this dotted line here that you can see occasionally, has its own rule set to it. As a result, that is included. So we do have to do with doors there. Other than that, the only other one is invisible gremlins. Absolutely hate them. As a result, I removed them from the game completely. Finally, there was one question in regards to deaths. Yes, I have had some deaths in here. Most of them, generally speaking, are not counted. There's 2 noteworthy deaths. The first one is in this farm thief hideout though. You'll actually specifically see there's a split up here. The reason for the split up is the Volar, which is the paladin in this particular game, sadly passed. It was the first time and only time that Volar had passed. The big thing that was quite important about this is the fact that Volar had always been the one to bring back anyone else, because she has healing spells, of course. She was always able to get right to the end, not having to rely on anyone else. But this was the only time in which I felt that actually I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to finish this with Volar in this condition. Therefore, the team split up and one half of the party went back to reserve and resuscitate Volar, while the others went directly to the thief's hideout. The other noteworthy one is actually right at the end. It's on the very last mission of the entire game. I mentioned here that Medusa has come. The reason that's important is it was the first Medusa that I've had in the entire book. Of 55 different adventures, Medusa had not appeared before. She took out 3 of my party members. Once again, Volar was the one that was lucky. She always seems to get the lucky rolls. As a result, she was able to cast Blessing upon everyone, and everyone was eventually able to survive and then eventually finish the campaign as well. The next set of questions are all about sort of general game here. So the first one is, how long did it take? I'm not sure if you can specifically see that there, but it took me from the 12th of the 5th, 2023 to the 9th of the 3rd, 24. So essentially you're looking at 10 months work for all of this. Actual hours I did track as well. So as you go through the book, generally speaking, it took me, for example, for a double page, it would take me about half an hour to write. for the actual design of a specific event and adventure, it'll probably take me about an hour and a half. So you're probably looking at about 150 to 250 hours of actual gameplay here. The next question is, did you plan the whole campaign? That is a straight and utter no. Instead, I used the one-page mythic. I do have a different video specifically about how I use one-page mythic. I'll link that down below and at the top corner as well. Essentially, I planned to go through this book and cut it into 4. So instead of the entire book being done, I was expecting maybe a quarter of the book to be about this particular story, but instead Mythic just had other ideas. What's particularly interesting is actually I regularly tried to force myself into a situation whereby I could cut it short. So this is a particularly good example. At this point in the story, we found out that we need to find the spheres. However, we don't know how many. As a result, I decided that there would be 5, and these are the specific ones that we would go about getting. However, Mythic had a different idea, and as we went through the book, we started finding more and more information out, and we started gaining more and more bits of information, and it turned out that there were actually 9 different spheres that we had to collect, along with a few other bits and pieces as well. As a result, the game just massively ballooned. It wasn't something that I originally planned out to fill the entire book. Yes, I did worry somewhere through. About halfway through, we eventually got to a point whereby they had 3 of the 9 spheres, obviously nowhere near enough. However, I started getting towards the end, I realised that actually it was going to line up absolutely perfectly. The only issue that I had is there were these 2 double pages at the end that I wouldn't be able to finish, essentially the end of the adventure ending on this page. As a result, I just filled out some information in regards to what happened to all the different characters that we played through the whole thing. These are the 4 main characters, Yuki, Thor, Ashwin and Bola, and then the 2 sub-characters as well, Marina and Aethuth as well, just in order to fill out the pages, but I was just extremely lucky in regards to everything else. The next set of questions in regards to what specific tools that I use, most of them are in front of you here. The first one is what pens did you use to draw with? Specifically, these were all of the different Pigma Micron pens that you can see here. I have to get that in focus. I used a 05 for most things, although there are a few other smaller sizes that I used as well. These come in a whole different range of colours. This one happens to be dark grey. Most, of course, was based on black. With the occasional red pen as well going in for different bits and pieces. However, I did use a whole raft of different colours that came with. The next question is, how did I write everything? So I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to throw it out there now. I would not personally suggest this. So this is the Pigma Micron PN. The thing about this particular pen is it has a very fine tip that you can effectively push down on and make it slightly thicker or slightly thinner. However, I write quite hard. As a result, as you go through the book, you start seeing text getting thicker and thicker and thicker, and as a result, I then had to change up. So in this book, there are about 4 different pens of these PNs that I had to go through. Instead, what I'd actually suggest is this. It is I'm not sure if I can get that in focus for you, Sarasa Zebra pen. Now, it happens to be a 05, which is, from my point of view, the perfect thickness. However, it has exactly the same look as this. However, it doesn't have that same issue in regards to pushing down with a pen. Therefore, it allows you to have a greater control, and as a result, there's a better understanding, really. Now, I'm going to put this other page here for you. This is actually the Zebra. So as you can see, it has exactly the same look. It dries just as quickly. There is a definite better pen there. In regards to other tools that I use, obviously a ruler is the first thing. However, there are 2 specific tools that I really like. The first one is this circle jig. Obviously, I drew a lot of circles when it comes to the Red Sphere Guild, after all. However, there's another little tool that I really seem to like. This is actually backed on a Kickstarter campaign. It's called the Horizon Helvetica. There's a few things that make it particularly noteworthy. The first is, of course, you can specifically draw lots of small things. You can measure at the top, both on imperial and the metric too. However, you can also do a compass in regards to the small holes at the top. It is particularly handy. It's something that I can just drop into my pocket or into my wallet because it's credit card sized, and it's actually perfect for anything that you need to do, really. And the only other question that I had is in regards to what book did I use. So this is a Moleskine book. It's specifically a grid. Let me get a different one here for you that you can see slightly better. It's got a 0.5 centimeter grid with dots. There are other books that have a very similar effect. I would personally suggest always going with Moleskine. The reason being that whilst this has a slightly rough texture and the pages are creamy in color, which you can see if you specifically look at the book, it's not just the camera lighting here, they are creamy colored. It does have the ability to not bleed through as much. So whilst you can still see a bit of text through this page specifically, it's not as bad as others. As a result, it's really quite important to make sure you have a thick paper in order to make sure that you don't bleed through. The final couple of questions are just about design more than anything. The first one is, where did this idea of a sphere come from? Actually, it was not mine at all. I happened to be going through RPG stuff or D&D and a campaign I was looking to build, and I saw this particular image, obviously without the reactionary sort of glow around the outside. This was specifically meant to be a chaos spider eye. I just fell in love with the idea of sort of the weird bubbles and the fact that sort of the veins coming out of it, and I just thought to myself, there's got to be something that I can do with that. And as a result, I knew that this game was specifically revolve around this sphere. What I was expecting was that they would have to search and search and search for this sphere. However, One Page Mythic decided that I was going to find it on the top floor of the very first dungeon. As a result, it was more of a case of that was the first of many. Did I want to match the book with the Red Sphere Guild? The answer to that is simply no. So whilst I do have red books specifically for this adventure, I happen to draw anyway, so I do have other books. Specifically, the red books are in regards to adventures or games specific. These are non-For Against Darkness, obviously, and as a result, red just was a lucky colour. That's about it. If you guys have any questions about the Red Sphere Guild and anything else about this adventure, do put them in the comments below, and I will hopefully do a follow-up series in regards to different questions that you might have as well. Thanks.